Hey, this is Romey-Mak, and you're listening to the Interview with Rome podcast. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Interview with Rome. I am your host with the most, Romey-Mak. Today's guest I have with me is Miss Shaunna Williams. She's author of the book Spiritual Magic Book of a Queer POC. And also, she's known as a mystical minister. And I'm not going to waste time, let you guys hear from the individual herself. Shaunna, thank you so much for being on.
Yes, thank you so much, Romy. I'm very happy to be on here and to share this space with your people.
Yes. I want my people to meet your people, and then they become our people, and then our people meet other people, So, but no, we're really gonna have some fun with this. I won't even waste too much time. So we want to get right into it. My folks want to know, who is Shaunna Williams?
Oh, who is Shaunna Williams? Man, I am a multi-level dimensional being, like multi-tiered. Like, I am a warrior woman, I am a goddess, I am a fighter, I am an artist, like I am a lover, I'm so many things. I'm a daughter, I'm a partner. I love to create in this world. I express through dance, I express through song, I express through poetry. So, Shaunna Williams is unboxable. That is who Shaunna Williams is.
Well, for the audience, tell us, how did you hear about this particular podcast?
I heard about this podcast through Micah because I was on her podcast, and then I saw that you guys had collaborated, and I was like, oh, okay, let me hop over here and see how we vibe, and here we are.
Yes, indeed. And I'm so thankful for you being on the show, as I've said many times before, actually doing the show. And it's just great to have you on. Like I said, I heard your interview with Micah, and I was definitely intrigued by the information. Hopefully we share some of that information on this very podcast as well for my audience. So, what led you to become a mystical minister? And define for the people, what exactly is a mystical minister?
Okay. Yes, and let me please say, Romy, that I'm very happy and honored to be on this podcast with you as well, and I have been looking forward to it as well. So here we go. I am the mystical minister, and I'm an ordained minister twice over. I was born and raised in church, and then I explored my own roots and my own truth. And through that, I studied some mysticism, which is the spirituality and the art of being a person, a being that works with the land and spirituality of the land and of the earth, and mysticism and working with all of the elements, more so rooted in African spirituality and Native American spirituality. But me, as being a mystical and being a person that practices mysticism, is that I work with magic, and I work with the realm of magic beyond just this human realm. And so I am a student in mystery school. That's called a hierarchy of light. And so I've worked with many different levels beyond this physical realm and bell and dimension, because there is so much going on beyond just us.
If I remember listening to your interview with Micah, you said you had a revelation at 18. I wonder if you could share that with us.
A revelation at 18? Oh man, I've had so many revelations.
I believe it's the one where you said you stop. I think you speaking your truth. I think that's what it was.
Speaking my truth is a part of my medicine. What I can think of at 18 was I went to treatment at 18 because I had a history of using drugs, and so I went to treatment, and I was actually able for the first time to start to speak of some of the skeletons in the closet of my family, because I was very much so brought up in a family that we don't speak to anyone about anything that's happening in our home. And so when I turned 18 and I went there, it was the first time that I was able to actually speak, and I was so afraid. And I know that there are a lot of people that are much older than 18 right now, or younger, or the same age as 18 right now, that run into the problem of, like, okay, how do I change the trajectory of my life? How do I change this way of being that's been so embedded in me from my family? And what my therapist at that time told me, she was like, if you don't start speaking, you're going to die. And, like, no one can use against you that which you need to heal from. And so when I heard that, I was like, okay, so now it's time. It's time to start speaking, and it's time to start letting these skeletons out, because to keep a secret is to keep me sick, and it's time for me to start healing. And that was probably the turnaround and the shift that happened when I was 18 years old.
Yes, that's exactly what I was targeting, actually, from that. Thank you for sharing that. So how important is healing after sustaining pain in any form?
As long as we're breathing, we're healing, as long as we show up to. We always have an opportunity to heal. And it depends on what we signed up for as we came here, like what our birthright is in that sense. And it's a disservice to whomever is in our space and to ourselves to not take the time and the energy and the focus on self to intentionally heal. It's imperative. It's a must. But there are a lot of people walking around with open wounds. And with open wounds, we just keep hurting other people because we haven't healed. And so in order to have peace here, we got to heal ourselves first in order to create healing and peace within the world.
Yes. I'm a firm believer in that. Going through that currently as we speak. I believe that if you don't heal, you will bleed on everybody else. Because hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
It's a challenge, it's a mission, but it can be done. Spiritual Magic Book of a Queer POC. Without giving too much detail, I want you to give the synopsis of this guide.
Okay. So this is a book that is a reminder to people that it doesn't matter what you've gone through, you can continue to search for the light that is you and to continue to believe in spirituality and that there is something way greater than right here. And this is like it's a story about resilience and about continuing to move forward in light and bravery. And then at the end, I give practices that people can do to continue to walk in their own magic, in their own truth, and to start to heal. So that's what the story's about. I tell a bit about my story and my personal journey from childhood to now. And I mean, there's so much more in another book that will be coming. Okay. But this is a great amount of information to support people in getting it, to do the shift, and to be able to go on their own path to heal and to remember who they are.
Okay. And was this your first book you wrote?
This is my first book that I published.
Oh, first
book that was published.
Oh, your first baby. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you release the book?
I released the book in March of this year.
I guess what we want to know is, what was your driving force behind this movement of mystical ministry?
Well, let me read my mission statement to you. Let me tell you what my mission statement is, and I think that'll speak to it.
Yes, everybody sit back. We're going to gear up for this one. Go ahead, Miss Williams.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. My mission is to provide spiritually driven content, courses, community sessions, and teaching for the LGBTQIAP community and people that are seeking spiritual healing, awakening, and empowerment. I am here to be a safe haven for these people to fully expand into their divine power, grace, and authenticity. I am here standing as a vessel to remove the veil of shame brought on by religion, family, society, and self. I vow to consistently maintain a safe, respectful, honoring space and uphold the context of miracle consciousness. And
staying on the topic of mystical ministry, what is mystical ministry's idea on polygamy?
Well, I don't really take a stance on that, or even, people live and do what they choose to do. Yeah. I don't take a stance on that or speak towards it. I'm more so concerned about how people are treating one another and showing up, and if they're actually claiming their space in the world or not.
I got you. And speaking on taking space in the world, let's get into just people alone. Do you feel like you need someone to be happy?
Ooh, I love this question. So, no. The greatness about this whole self-love campaigning that's happening now, I was speaking on self-love over a decade ago, and now it's like a hot topic and a hot thing for people to do, and I'm all about it because there can't be any wrong. But in self-love, we understand that we are the source of our own joy and happiness, and we're also the source of our own misery and sadness. And that's a huge responsibility for us to take. And a lot of times we don't want to take that responsibility. So when we feel misery and we feel sadness, we start to go outside of ourselves to look for other people to make us happy and joyful. And then when they don't, we at least have someone outside of us to blame. But no, absolutely not. It's to be able to be happy and joyful and filled within, And then when somebody else comes in, they add to that space, and only being able to be so rooted in self-love and self-sufficiency that when we bring somebody else into our space, they add to it. And if they're not adding, then they're not even in it.
Yeah, they're either adding or subtracting, I would say.
I mean, they're adding or they're not in it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. It's like you don't even get an opportunity to subtract from me in my life. You are either in it, adding to it, or you're not in it at all.
So how would you guide someone who's currently in a toxic relationship through mystical ministry?
Yeah. So we would be looking at the root, because, I mean, we don't just wind up in toxic relationships. Like, an environment has been created way before this relationship that allowed this person to even be in this present state. So we would look at the root of, we would go back into childhood and any trauma and anything like that that led to this present moment. We would look at the environment and what the actual toxicity is, like what that means, what that's looking like for them. And then do the deep work and look at their part. And then also look at their partner's part. And then if it is up to them and they're at that place of wanting to leave and to move out, then we look at that. But if it's an able relationship to where healing and repair can happen, then there's that. It just depends on the severity of the toxicity on how I would guide my client through that situation.
Yeah. And having clients, I'm sure they have mental health issues. How does mental health tie into mystical ministry?
Okay. So I studied social work at Lipscomb University in Nashville, Tennessee, and I've also worked in mental health and substance abuse for the last 9 years. So just in that being a part of my background, and before that, I worked with special children that had behavioral issues in the classroom when I lived in Louisiana. So I've always been a part of that population and bringing healing and working in it. And so I always get those clients. And so, I mean, I bring forth my education, my experience, my certifications, the best thing that I bring is like the experience that I've had in life and the experience that I've had within working in that field for so long, and also the experience that I had within the mystical realm and the spiritual realm to support them. And most of the time, the diagnosis isn't even really the diagnosis, it's some unresolved trauma that they haven't resolved, or they're in this loop, obsessive mental loop, and they're stuck and unable to change their behavior. And so it just takes some modification, some looking, some diving in and support, and then we can start to shift all of that for them.
Augustine, on the subject of toxic relationships, what advice would you offer someone who has been through tumultuous emotional abuse?
Within their relationship?
Yes.
To get out. To get out. I don't even mean literally to get out, but get out of that cycle. Like, get out of it as soon as possible. And I know what that's like. Like, I was married, I was in a toxic marriage, and I got out of it. And I got out of it by trying to get out of that cycle and getting us the support and the help that we needed. And then when it was very clear that none of that was going to support, then I literally physically got out of it. And so when you're in that emotional abuse, you feel like you can't, like your mind is cluttered, your space is cluttered, like you feel confusion and all of these different things, and you almost lose like your center. And so decision making isn't always at its greatest. And so if you're in an emotionally toxic, abusive relationship, then you have to wake up and realize that you deserve something way better than this. And it's time for you to work on yourself, your inner stuff, to where you don't continue to have this cycle of relationships in your life. It's always what we're bringing in to have these situations happen, because people don't just accidentally stumble, like I said before, in toxic relationships.
Yeah, it's definitely about the environment of which you come from, and sometimes you don't even recognize that you're toxic until you're already in it. You know,
Yes.
I can speak on the few toxic relationships that I've been in. And both of us, you know, it's coming from both of us, or just backgrounds where we come from. But again, you have a person or another who, you know, takes advantage of a situation and sees something as a weakness, and then they strike. You know what I mean? So you have to find yourself, and like you said, the self-love movement that we have going on right now. If you love yourself first, you won't allow a lot of things to happen. You know what I mean? That's not really good for you. You know, like you recognize like what's good for you and what's going to bring you down. And you find yourself losing yourself at times, and it takes time to separate yourself from that particular system so that you can develop your new self really going forward so that you can be in something healthy. So yeah, that was dope what you mentioned on that.
I actually would love to say something on this situation.
Go ahead.
Let me just take a second to pause because I love what you just said. I can look at myself in that marriage and both of us, like we both came from homes, like for me, I came from a home that taught me that there is no peace in marriage. There is only fighting and abuse in marriage. There is no peace in the home. There is only fighting and chaos in the home. And so we both came together very conscious and aware, both working on our stuff. Like we didn't just, I've been doing the self-care stuff, this self-work, this deep healing work, like a decade before I even got to her. And she had been in this community doing her own work for about the same time before she got to me. And I do believe that we get in relationships. Relationships can teach us and be a gift of blessings that we can't learn any other way. And so we came together to learn a lesson and to learn many lessons together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we came together consciously of like, okay, this is where we come from. This is what we're wanting to create. But because it was in ourselves and the way that like deeply intertwined in our being, how we would react in certain situations did not support the vision that we had about our relationship. So I can come in with all of the self-love, but when old childhood wounds are triggered,
that trauma,
and that's another level, and that's why we have to be so conscious. And so in that marriage, I did EMDR, which is like a trauma therapeutic modality.
Uh-huh.
I did coaching, and I did all of these different things. And what it came down to the bottom is that I needed to leave, because it wasn't all me. It was the fact that this relationship was not the container to have a different relationship. Like, it was there for me to learn that I have now surpassed that way of being and even coping in relationships like that. And so the relationship that I'm in now, it's like, that literally was my lesson, because I have no longer continued those roads and those way of reacting.
Childhood trauma is tough. It's something that you don't even you don't realize how impactful these things are until you look back to the root, like you said, to the root of things and figuring out where it has come from. Because even I, to this day, is dealing with childhood trauma myself, and I'm learning, new things about myself that, I can just try to unlearn. And you were speaking about, like the toxic environment where you come from. I came from a home where I never saw resolvement and conflict. You know what I'm saying? So how I would approach relationships, I wouldn't know how to deal with that, or I wouldn't deal with conflict, or I would avoid it any kind of way, because I wouldn't want to see like two folks like going up against each other, you know what I mean? So, actually having certain conflict, healthy conflict. There is healthy conflict, and then there's unhealthy conflict, I do believe. But like being able to talk things out and seeing things from different perspectives, I feel like it's a better way. I think if you listen to somebody long enough, you can understand where they're coming from and maybe see why their delivery was a certain way or why your delivery is a certain way,
Absolutely. The Gottman Institute is an institution that I love and follow a lot of their teachings and done a lot of their studying, and they are basically a relationship institution. Mm-hmm. And so all of their two therapists that run it, and they train therapists, and something that they say is that everybody fights. It's all in how you fight that determines the outcome of your relationship. And that has been so true that I've experienced in working with people and also in my personal life.
So what should one do when they start to feel depressed or doubting themselves, from your expertise?
So we're in this world where there's a lot of stuff going on. It's that whole war of good and evil that's been around since the Bible was written, and even before then. And so there's a collective unconsciousness that Carl Jung talked about. And so I believe it was Carl Jung. I apologize if I'm quoting the wrong psychiatrist. But we feel the stuff that's happening. So we may have our own mental disposition, but we got to tap into community and to support. Like, we have to speak about it, because I know within the African American community, there's a lot of addiction, a lot of violence and all of that stuff because we're not talking about what's actually going on with our mental health. So we just got to start talking about it and utilizing community. So I would tell this person to reach out for support and start speaking about what's happening, start taking different action and move the energy within your field.
I want to ask you this. Why do you feel like in like the Black community that we really don't discuss like mental health and all that?
Well, we could go way back. We were never given the voice or the right to talk about the harm that was done to us while the harm was being done to us. So we became master shields, like covering up how we feel, covering up what we even believed in. We became master cover-ups, master chameleons, master silencers. And so as we all evolved generation to generation, we continued to not talk about it. We had to show up as strong, as able to take care of whatever was needed, even if we were drowning. And we didn't want anybody else to know. It was like it was safe to keep secrets because we never could speak when it was time for us to speak as we were being birthed as a culture. And so today, the stigma still continues, and it's a whole conversation about looking good and pretending to be a certain way while we're dying on the inside, which we've passed that. Like, it's no longer working. Like, it stopped working decades upon decades ago. What do you think is the reason?
Old traditions of things like we have to be strong. We're bred to be strong, and especially men not to show emotion. I was going to lead into the next question, but I'll finish my statement here on it. But yeah, we're just bred to be that way, and like tough all the time. Like I'll speak from my family's experience. We all are going through stuff. And what I can say is that social media highlights your insecurities more than you know. And like I see family members who won't tell us personally. Like if we're all like in at a family function and all of us are together, they won't speak on anything that they're going through. But if you check their timeline, it's a cry for help. You know what I'm saying? And like the people that are on the timeline, I mean, some of them might help you, but I mean, your family, like again, they're there. You know what I'm saying? And the family's supposed to be there for you, and I feel like that's a very big issue as to why we don't express ourselves and don't realize how people, like you said, dying inside, myself included. And I know that it's an honest statement. If anyone in our family, especially the men, if anyone in the family were to voice like they're going through something, they would be perceived as weak and like told you need to man up or something like that. Versus but what you're doing is you're downplaying, my feeling, and what that does, it makes you harden and you internalize everything. And sometimes when you internalize everything, it's a volcano forming. You know what I mean? And eventually it's going to explode. And sometimes that's like a lash out. Sometimes that can be suicide. You know what I'm saying? Or there's just so many things that can happen when we internalize, how we feel. And I think that we should definitely, we shouldn't be perceived as weak. If anything, it's strength to be able to express yourself to someone, tell somebody how you feel. Whether that's like something you're dealing with as far as mental health or even feelings that you have for somebody that you love. So I'll ask you, and that's what I was saying, I was going to lead into my next question for you. Do you find it weak in a man when they express themselves to you, whether that's romantically or something that they're dealing with that really has them down? So but I ask you, Shaunna, do you see that as like a weakness in a guy?
So I find it unfortunate for any person that has an inability to fully express themselves. And for men as a species, I think that it is most unfortunate. And I truly believe that we cannot fully feel, fully love, fully be present in this life if we're withholding or withdrawing certain emotions or allowing certain emotions to remain stagnant. Mm-hmm. So we can't just say, okay, we can't feel this. Then we also are holding back being able to feel other things that we actually want to be able to feel. Because feelings are fluid. Emotions are fluid. All of it flows. And so if we're creating blocks, then we're creating blocks within it all. And I believe that that is the foundation for intimacy issues. And that's the foundation of why most relationships don't work, because everybody's walking around all blocked up emotionally and unable to truly express love, feel love, and to trust the love that they're creating within their relationship. So I want anybody that I'm with to be fully expressed. And if you're upset, I want you to communicate to me why you're upset.
Right.
If you're upset, I want you to express what that looks like. If you're sad, come here and cry. That's powerful to me. It's unfortunate to be any other way. Not weak, not strong. It's just really unfortunate.
All right. So let's say, for instance, for me, my personality and looking back at relationships, I'll have an issue with something, but I don't want to, I guess, get into an argument because I feel like it's going to not go anywhere. Or at least I thought that back then. So let's just say me and you were engaged in a relationship. What would be the steps that you would take for a guy with that type of person? I would say a person with that personality, because again, we have, like you said, LGBTQ listeners that may be in relationships and dealing with the very same thing. So we'll say a person with this personality who doesn't really feel like comfortable expressing themselves. How would you kind of help guide them to get out of that comfort zone and be able to do so?
Yeah. So before I enter in any relationship, like as we're in the courting phase, I use air quotes, it's that it's communicated. Like this is the relationship that we have. It's called like laying the groundwork or laying the foundation, laying the ground rules. But like we communicate. When we're in arguments, we communicate. We may need to take some time, but like it's my responsibility to maintain my ability to be a safe space for my partner to come into, or in this instance, you to come into and talk. And it's also your responsibility. It's all about emotional maturity and being able to flow and to be able to give time and space when it's needed. So, I mean, a lot of people are learning decades and decades and decades of manning up, and I use air quotes again, and not being able to verbalize. And on the other end, there are women and all other people that don't know how to respond maturely or to respond in a way that creates a safe place and space for someone to communicate what they're feeling. Like if you say, this hurt me and I'm just going to go off, then that's going to teach you to shut down. So it's like on both of us to be able to maintain a space to where that's okay. And if for some reason I'm not in a space to be able to like allow you to be who you are and how you feel in that moment, then I need to take time away or come back and apologize and have another opportunity for us to be able to talk through whatever it is that we need to talk through. But there has to be time and space for whatever that needs to be processed and expressed to be processed and expressed, so then moving on can happen. Because if it's not processed and expressed, then that's when all the stuff piles up and resentment gets built in relationships, and then one thing just feeds another, and when you get into another argument, you bring up old shit, and it just continues to fester. Right.
I love everything that you said in regards to that. I'm sure that's going to be helpful to a lot of listeners, especially, women that really don't know how to communicate their emotions and things, and maybe that'll help them, look at it from a different perspective. Do you feel like sex complicates non-committal relationships?
Oh, okay. I remember that this was gonna come up.
Yeah.
Do I feel like we don't get how powerful sex is. I feel like we've been selling sex short this entire time. And so that's why we get caught up. It's because we just think that sex is something that's all nonchalant, but it's literally the way in which we give and get life. So it's like an energy, like it's an energy exchange. It's all power. It's all of that. So it's like when we are engaging in sex with each other, we're not just having sex. There's so much more that's happening, and that's why people catch feelings, but they're unaware of it. So it's not so much that it complicates non-committal things, it's the fact that people are asleep to the power of sex and how they choose to use it that complicates anything and everything.
Oh, it's powerful, all right. It can be blinding at times. Looking back at, like my 20s when I was engaging in a lot of that, and it wasn't supposed to go anywhere. But, you do things at least 3 times, it just becomes part of routine. Yes, you're having sex with somebody more than 3 times. It's an unofficial relationship in a sense. So,
I don't know about that.
Hey.
But if you say so that is definitely
Yeah, well, from a historical standpoint, like the geishas, like Japanese culture, the way the way their customs were, they would have like a guy, he would have to write a letter or whatever to like the woman that he was, pursuing, and then like the maid would give it to the geisha, and if she liked what he wrote, he would come, he would be able to come up, come upstairs and, obviously engage in such. So, and the way they mentioned it is like, and I just thought about it, just the things that I had done. They mentioned world geography class up at Campbell University in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Shout out to North Carolina for teaching teaching this. But basically, like, they said if the guy, basically, I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but just
do it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it anyway. It said that if you are like if they had sex with the geisha 3 times, then they had to marry them. So I guess me somewhat interpreting that is that it equates like an unofficial relationship that you're creating with that individual. So that's just me. But that's good that having different perspectives that you don't agree with. That's cool.
I don't agree or disagree. What I mean by sex being powerful, I mean way beyond the emotions that come with it and the blinding and like the intoxication of it and like what actually leads to like sex addiction. I mean sex is powerful in the fact that like women don't get that when, and I'm about to take this to like a mystical level, that when they allow themselves to have sex with another partner, if they're maintaining and keeping that person's energy for up to 7 years or even more than that. And like it's a sacred base, it's a sacred exchange, and we're just walking around here giving it away and talking about self-worth and self-love. No ma'am, no sir, no way. And if you are aware of it and you choose to hold yourself in that container and give it away at choice however you choose to, but I'm saying that people need to wake up and realize the power that sexuality and sex actually holds. Like there is in African mysticism and spirituality and even deeper beyond that and in other realms of spirituality, sex magic, which is we can literally create through sex. So and I don't mean giving birth to children or like anything like that. I mean a whole other level. So it's an invitation for people to wake up and be of choice and be aware of like the power of sex, the power of their parts. Like it's powerful parts.
Well, I can tell you this right now, people listening to this, some of y'all not getting pussy and dick after this show because of that statement, for real. No, I'm just messing with Shaunna. No, but you do hit on some key points, and like in all seriousness, yeah, that is something that we need to think about, how powerful that sex really can be, and what it is, especially women, queens, understanding how important your power is and what to do with it. Definitely, that was great conversation right there. What do you feel like the world is lacking right now?
Why do I feel that the world is lacking? That is a great question. I feel that the world is lacking in their own spirituality, like the own piece of spirit that they each hold. Like people are sleeping on that. Like people are either looking outside of themselves for this magic that they are, that is spirit, that is of God, or they're just completely turned off and unaware to any form of spirituality. And I feel like when we stand in the fact that we are more than just this human body, more than just this flesh, that so much of the other stuff that's happening, the dark stuff that's happening, the crazy stuff, the chaos, will no longer even be apparent. So that's what I really feel that the world is missing right now, is waking up to their own divinity and the own spiritual nature of themselves. And let me just say this, everything that I've spoke on thus far and like everything that I've given suggestions and invitations on has been something that I've experienced personally in my life. Like I've been on the other side of it, and now I walk in my truth and my healing and my profession. And that's why I'm able, like one of the truths for me is that I know for me and what I'm here to do on this earth is that I'm able to support people and to help people and to support people in healing because I have walked in their shoes personally. It's not just that I went to college and then here I am. It's that God is like, girl, this is your path. The reason why you've gone through all of these different things is so that you can help these people. And I mean, like, many things of which you can learn in my book, The Spiritual Magic of a Queer POC. So just know that I'm not just here on a soapbox and preaching to the choir. Like, these are things that I've walked through and that I've come through and gotten on the other side, and I can sit here and say, hey, wake up.
I can tell you that the Spirit is really leading us through this interview, because that is literally the next question I had for you. Do you feel like this is your calling? Are you like, I mean, I know you said you didn't look at the questions, but are you over here? Or are you reading this right now?
I don't remember anything. When you said the next question, I was like, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, so it's like, do you feel like this is your calling?
I feel like that I'm walking in my calling, and more is revealed as I step up and into like and higher remembering. Because where I am right now, I would not have imagined a year ago, 10 years ago, and I know that even more is coming. And so is it my calling to help people and to lead people to spirituality and to light and to have healing? Absolutely. And in the ways in which I can offer myself in my services will continue to grow.
Speaking on that, if you weren't doing this for a living, where would you be in your life?
Well, I've had many other careers. I've worked in corporate America for a very long time. Okay. And so I worked in education, I worked in mental health, I worked in fitness. You know, I did fitness for like 15 years, and it's still a part of what I offer in my programs now. But I mean, I would probably still be, I've always been in a helping profession to some degree in my life. So I'd probably be in the helping profession, but with a half of me dead inside, because I've been there and I've done that, and this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm walking in my light and in my path, and I'm fully alive and awake. You know,
we spoke on what the world was lacking. I'm going to step back just a bit to that. How would spiritual healing influence the racial tension in our society?
Well, I mean, it would allow, first and foremost, for some forgiveness to come in on the people who have been stigmatized, ostracized, and beaten and killed. It would allow a space for forgiveness to come in, because that is one of the pillars of spirituality, is true forgiveness. It would also get us out of just seeing color and get us into the higher reasons that we are here. Like I spoke on before, we are more than just this flesh. And so when we each remember our divine spirituality, all of this little petty stuff that we're fighting over will not matter. It will not. People just need to wake up.
So what are your views on religion?
I am pro whatever supports people in being happy and joyous and free. I am against anything that produces hate, violence, and prejudiceness. So I believe that religion was created, and men have taken it in a way, and I mean men like human beings of the species have taken it in a way to be to hate and violence and wars and all of that. But religion at its core, I have nothing against. It's what people do within the name of religion that I have something against.
Let me ask you, how do you feel about those? Again, you're basically, an activist for the LGBTQ community, and so how do you feel about those in religion who see being gay as a sin?
I am actually an activist for the queer community and the LGBTQ community. Like, I have led protests and all of those things, and now this is how I give back to that community, is from this end. And so, I go to churches and I've sat down with pastors and I've had these conversations with them. Like, on the outside or on the stage, they're like, we are love, Jesus, the cross equals love. I went to that church that has all of those stickers around and sat down and talked to their pastors, and I'm like, you guys say that this is a place for everyone, but you still say right in the foundation of your values that homosexuality is a sin, and that would put those people at an odd and make them feel very uncomfortable and like they're not worthy to be here. Are you guys willing to change that in order to have this place actually be what you say that it is, a place for everyone? And at the end of the day, they just kept going back. Like, they could not move or budge. Like, their commitment to saying, like, no, this is a sin, instead of, like, God says that everyone is created in the image and likeness of me. He who seeks me and works for me and is, like, of me is forgiven and always welcome and supported in my home. Like, basically that's what he's saying. But you guys are holding on. I think that people pick and choose to support them.
Yes, indeed.
Instead of looking at the whole picture, because I believe that God is love. And I believe that most churches get that right, but they put contingencies, and contingencies to love is a human malady. It is not a spiritual or godlike malady.
I respect that right there. So what about folks that don't believe in God, period? What is your stance on that?
Well, I mean, I've had many friends that are agnostic and atheists, and you don't have to believe, but it's like, how are you contributing? Like, what are you doing with your energy? And some people may not believe in God, but they believe in the elements. They believe in earth. I mean, like, Native Americans are rooted in earth and Great Spirit and animals and all of that stuff. So maybe people don't believe in God, and maybe people don't believe in the sky God. But there's a lot to believe in and a lot to work with, and I believe in miracles. So I believe that, like, once the conversations are had and the human veil has been lifted, then there's ability for people to see the truth and what's around, and has always been around.
Okay. When did the light go off in your mind that this was for you?
It was one day I actually reviewed my life, and I was like, whoa, this is what all of this was for. You know, this is why I was born and raised in the projects. This is why I was in the projects doing, like, magical spells. This is why I never believed what the church was saying, that this person was better than this person and you're going to hell for this reason. This is why I've always questioned this. This has always been who I am. And this is why I was attracted to this. This is why I studied Buddhism at 18. And this is why I went down the course and the trail to be a Buddhist teacher. But then I realized that I had everything that I needed to go forth in my ministry. Like, it's always been a part of me. And then one day I stopped and I saw that, and I was like, okay, all right, I got it.
Well, we're almost done with the business questions here. We'll get into this more so on the personal level. Have you ever received any discouragement? Have you ever received any discouragement from, like, folks that are around you? You know, how did you deal with that? Like, something that just brought you completely down, like you got totally discouraged, where you wanted to, I would say, like, give up.
I don't know if I've ever gotten to the point of wanting to give up, but I know that I've had people have tried me, we can say.
Yeah.
And, like, tests of people have come my way, haters, people just, like, throwing all kinds of hatred and craziness. I mean, last year, there was some crazy stuff that people were just, like, doing. And I mean, like, there will always be people doing this stuff, like people trying to bring other people down that are, and then the more that we step and live in our light and our truth, the more people will try to get louder. And I mean, there have been many opportunities that I could have allowed other people to bring me down, but I believe that when we stand in our truth and we know our path and what we're doing, then we don't give people that ability to. But I mean, like, throughout my life, I've had moments of it, of, like, people saying, oh, Shaunna, like, you think that you're going to do that? I mean, like, I grew up with my granny basically telling me that I wasn't going to be anything, so I had those voices in my head, and I still came through on the other side. And that's where the warrior in me comes forth. And, like, people may say something, and I may get caught up for, like, a second, and I'll tell my boyfriend, I'm like, hey, you know, like, this is what this person said, and he'll listen to me play it out, and I move through it, and then I wake up and I rise. Like, I wake up and I rise. No one can take me off of this path that I'm on and what I'm here to do. And I invite everyone to stand as strongly and confidently within themselves, to not allow people to do it. Feel it, process it, wake up and rise.
Straight like that. And so that's pretty much what we got from the business side. Now it's time to get personal, have a little fun with you. So you just spoke.
Oh my God, I feel like it's been personal.
Yeah. Oh wow. Well, we're about to go even deeper right here. So you just spoke on your boyfriend. So how did you meet the love of your life?
The love of my life. I feel like that's very strong. He is definitely someone that I love, and I think that he is wonderful. I'm so happy to have him. We met in a certification program that we were in for transformational breathwork.
So what does your diet consist of?
I actually just ended a spiritual fast, which consisted of juicing and all of that kind of stuff. But normally, I was vegan for 5+ years, and this year I started back having meat into my diet. So I do juices, I do protein shakes, and they're still plant-based. I'll eat, like, some chicken, I'll eat some fish. I love vegetables. Like, the healthier the food, the better. And then, like, I have this crazy obsession with kettle chips. Like, the crunchier they are, the more I love them.
Mm-hmm. So how often do you work out?
I work out pretty regularly, which that has been something that's changed. I was a CrossFit teacher, coach, instructor. Fitness was my life, and it was very unhealthy. And so I work out and I move daily. Like I'll do yoga, I'll do kettlebell workouts, I'll do something that's not so intensive and exhausting. And the results that I've seen from that on a regular practice has been great, and I'm not killing myself in the gym.
So what is one thing that you hate? Yeah, we know hate is a very strong word, so take your time thinking about one thing that you do hate.
I hate that there are evil people in the world, and that there are forces against people who are good, and that innocent people go to prison for things they didn't do. Like, I absolutely hate that.
What's more important to you, peace or love?
To me, they are one and the same.
Yeah.
Peace is love, and love is peace. Without one or the other one cannot be. Like, I feel like they just are.
Yeah.
So are you really going to make me choose between those?
Yep, that was a great speech, but we still need you to pick one.
Oh my God! Okay, peace or love? Like, oh my man! See, I'm just gonna do a little loophole. I'm gonna choose love, and as I love, there is peace. So there we go.
All right, that we'll take it. We're gonna take that. What's your favorite place to travel?
That is a tough question. I want to go out of the country. I've yet to travel out of the country. So I'll just go with where I've been this year. This year I got to go to Denver and Arizona.
Okay.
And I love those environments. So I'm going to go with Sedona, Arizona for right now.
How's the food out in Arizona?
It was delicious. I ate a lot of like acai bowls and stuff like that. There is amazing food in Denver.
All right. So while traveling, what's been your favorite dish?
Well, while traveling would have to be when I was at home in April, and I was like obsessed with Hattie B's, which is this chicken place, and I just went there like 4 times while I was there, and I was only there for 6 days. And I may have gone there 6 times, but that's neither here nor there.
And where is home for you?
In Nashville, Tennessee.
You know that I've been there. Me and my cousin Brandon, that actually is a spokesperson for Urban Beauty Boy. Yeah, y'all definitely check him out, Brandon Tucker on Instagram. Love you, bro. I think that's where he took me to Hattie B's. I guess it's like one of the popular like chicken places that's been on like one of the famous places to get food from. He took me. As soon as I got off the plane, I came into to Nashville for my cousin's high school graduation back in 16. Yeah, May of 2016, and yeah, I think he took me to Hattie B's. So yeah, the food was good. The food was good.
So good.
Yeah. Okay.
Where did your cousin graduate from?
I have to get with him on that. Or you can follow, like I said, you can follow him on Urban Beauty Boy. You guys might know each other. You never know. He is a wonderful person. He has one of the most beautiful personalities that you ever get to meet nowadays. Full of life. Proud gay man. And I love him. I love him to death. Love him to life, for that matter. You know what I'm saying? I just love his spirit, his ability to just be who he is and do what he wants to do. You know what I mean? I respect that so much, because a lot of us don't have the courage to do that shit.
I definitely respect that too.
Yeah. So, do you face any issues within your career being a woman? And it's a two-part question. Sorry about that. Two-part question. Okay. And how would you advise other women who deal with the same?
So for me, being a black woman, it's really hard for me to be able to decipher which is happening. So I can, as a black woman, I've definitely felt that I've been withheld from, promotions and things like that when I worked in corporate America. Now the biggest thing that I've been healing through and moving through is that there are a lot of people that are not of my color that are in my field that don't have the same expertise that I do, but because they are more of a popular color and things of that nature, then they are able to have different things and different access. And I've just been really working on changing that story and shifting that to where, like, I am a child of God and I don't have scarcity. Like, there's scarcity is when we don't think that there's enough. And so I've really been doing a lot of work and healing, or putting a lot of effort in changing that story. So it doesn't matter what's actually happening in the world, but I want to create opportunities and places for me to go in. I mean, like this year, me working, putting effort in that, my life has shifted. Like I'm on your podcast. I've been on many other podcasts. I was able to be interviewed on a radio show in Nashville, and I'm going to speak at a conference this weekend, the Ancient Healings Conference, and I'm speaking and presenting twice there. I've spoken live for many audiences, and so I don't know if I was a woman or if I was black, but I just choose, and my solution for anyone who feels that they're in that environment, if you feel that that's actually happening, to speak up, because silence kills. And I mean, like, even if it's just you inside to where you're miserable every day, and then if nothing is happening, find another situation, because that is not right and it's not okay. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're in your own field and you feel like you're experiencing some prejudices, then start to do some inner work, because it's always about the inner work. We literally have mirrors and people reflecting things that we need to heal. And in relationships, like we were talking about, things come up, they get revealed so we can heal them. And so, yes, in this world that we live in, people may really, there is really this whole men have more priority and they get paid more and more opportunity, and there's prejudices against women, which is changing. That's shifting. It's changing. And yes, there's racism that creates blocks within people and within the world. And what I'm saying is that we are all God's children, and there is enough for us, and that we deserve what we have worked for, and we deserve opportunity, so go get it or create it.
What is your addiction or an addiction you've had?
What is my addiction on addiction I have? What? I mean, like I spoke on, I went to treatment for substances. So at that whole thing, I did different drugs and alcohol, and also had an eating disorder, so eating was in there as well. And then like there's stuff like process addictions and things of that nature. Today, I mean, I've been in recovery from all of that stuff for 12 years. And so today what comes up is like, sometimes I may get like obsessive thoughts, and it's like, okay, remove these obsessions so that I can be focused on what's in front of me. Because addiction just takes us from the present moment, and like the presence and the gifts are in the present. So, I mean, I don't play in any of those addiction lanes, because it's no joke. I don't anymore, and I'm very happy for my story and recovery, and to be able to be on this side of all of that.
Awesome, and we are glad that you overcame such adversity to come here and tell your story. So, like, I appreciate you, Shaunna. This entire interview has been so much fun for me, enlightening as well. Listening and speaking on things that you've brought up, about healing. So it's I really do personally appreciate the time and effort made from you being on the show. So 3 of your favorite movies.
Oh my gosh. Okay, 3 of my favorite movies. This is gonna be so weird, but I'm just gonna think of the movies that I can watch over and over again. So Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, love it. Friday, love it. I'll go with like something that I've seen more recently. Actually, I'm gonna go with The Lion King, and those are like my all-time favorites. But there's 3 that will work right now.
Listen, me, you, and Micah have very common bond when it comes to The Lion King. That was her favorite movie. That is my favorite movie. If you haven't heard our interview, we get into it over how dumb Simba had to be to be convinced by his uncle that he killed his daddy.
Scar.
Yes. How are you convinced that you did this? That was my
That's
question.
master manipulation by Scar. That is what a master manipulator looks like.
I don't I to this day I do not understand. I didn't understand it at 9 years old. I don't understand it at 33. I'm just sitting there like, how did he feel? He watched him because he watched him fall. He watched him fall. He didn't touch him. He's an innocent bystander. It's his fault. What? Because of the stampede that he didn't.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like the wildebeest ran.
I don't.
The wildebeest ran because of the hyenas. It had nothing to do with Simba. But that's just me. It's special. It's special. And one of my great friends has mentioned that this is another concept with the Lion King, the fact that Simba and Nala are brother and sister. You know what I mean? Yes, I mean Mufasa. There's only one king in the pride. There's only one king in the pride. Where's any other name? Did we see any other male lion in the movie?
But so it was very clear though that
knowing lions.
2019.
Knowing lions and how they move, there's one king in the pride that runs stuff, and he basically procreates with all the other female lions. And if they were being authentic, Simba wouldn't even be allowed around his dad because they eat their young. But
I don't know if animals have the same perspective on love and all of that.
Yeah, I think Disney. I think Disney. I mean, Disney's already dark to me. There's a lot of movies like early Disney is demonic as hell to me, but that's just me. Like Fantasia, Sleeping Beauty, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That I still have nightmares about that witch from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Leave me. I don't like red apples because of her. I don't even eat red apples. It's solely green apples. Granny Smith only.
Oh my God, that is hilarious, and I feel you. Yeah, Disney is twisted as well as all the nursery rhymes. Like it was literally introducing us to like the darkness that's in the world and also the light that's in the world. Like every story is ran on that storyline.
And staying on Disney, how do you feel about Ariel being black?
Wait, say that one more time.
Staying on Disney, how do you feel about Ariel being black?
Oh, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's really, really ridiculous that people are making it such a big deal. I've not made one post, one comment on it. I think it's great. And there have been, you can trace it back. If you believe in mermaids, then you can believe that there have been black ones. Like, it's idiotic and no reason to even give energy to it. Yeah. How do you feel about it?
Honestly, I was shocked. I didn't have that in my mind. I didn't think that they would go that route just thinking about Disney. I mean, look at the black characters we've had beforehand. You know what I mean? We've had what was it? Tiana? Is it Tiana? Tiara?
Yeah,
Princess and the Frog. And it was brought to my attention that she was a frog majority of the movie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she didn't get to be the black princess the entire, you know what I'm saying, like most of the time. That was like beginning of the movie and end of the movie for that. So I think it's a step. It's a step in the right direction. I feel like people, that are stuck in their ways are it's making them uncomfortable. And from my experience, uncomfortable means growth. So it can be growth. And I stay in the positive light, but uncomfortable means growth for me. So I just feel like it's ignorant that folks are upset about it. And also, if you look back to the original story of by Hans Christian Andersen, Ariel's green. So everybody shut the hell up. Honestly, so I mean, do we want to get somebody green? Would you want to paint her green? Would that make everybody feel better if Ariel was really green? I mean, it's one of those things where I didn't expect it, but I'm definitely proud of her. Nothing against her, but she's on. For those who watch Grownish, I watch Grownish. I like the show a lot. It's one of the better spinoffs, of seeing baby girl from Blackish being in college, But even that character, but the one that's playing Ariel, her character on the show is not really like a major character. So I was like, wow, that's pretty dope that she gets to step into this position and kind of make a well-known name for herself. Because I was at work the other day and they had her on Fox News. I was like, man, they got her on Fox News. This is for real.
And even before that, though, she and her sister are music duo, and they are under Beyonce. So even before she was on Grown Up, she already had her own thing going, and that's why she really does fit the role with the voice of Ariel. Because I bet she's going to be singing her own stuff.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to see it. I bought a Little Mermaid shirt from Old Navy 2 days ago for that reason alone. And you know what? Ariel looks black on the shirt, so deal with it. I'm coming to the movie theater with Little Mermaid. That's how we're doing it.
Do it. I love it. And the thing is that everything has been completely whitewashed for forever.
Yeah.
To where white people and not everybody's waking up. I have many white friends. My partner is white. Blah 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 blah. I'm not but the reality of it is that white people are realizing and even coming up against the fact that they are not the supreme race, that they have never been better than or superior to. And so to see something as small but also as big as see them up in arms, it's just like, it's revealing. And these past couple of years have been very revealing of the racism and the hatred, and it's inviting white people, black people, all people to step up and see, like, okay, this is real, this is happening. We have been living with this perception for a long time, and it's time for us to, like, break through it. And either there will be chaos or there will be harmony. And that's kind of been, like, the place that we've been in. I think it's beautiful. And I think that, like, also it's like, okay, it's about time. Like, we should be like, oh, yeah, yay, we finally, it's like, it's about time. Like, Beyonce headlined Coachella last year, and she's like, I was the first black woman to to headline Coachella. Ain't that about a bitch? Yes, it is.
Yep, that's something right there. All these people that came before her, and she's the first to do it. That's just just showing how far we've come and how far we need to go. And we're gonna continue to be forward, because you're not gonna get rid of us. We're going to be here. I need all non-black people need to understand that we are here, and we are going to be here for a very long time.
And just imagine, like, we have always been powerful, and that's like people, like the people who came and took over the land and captivated us, white people, let's just say, white Europeans. Like, they captivated us. They saw our strength. They took away our spirituality and tried to make us believe in what they believed in.
Yep.
And we had to hide our spiritual practices. But it's like, just imagine if we all stood equal and we were able to live in our own power without trying to make somebody else inferior. Like, the world would be a different place. Let's let go of fear and step into love. So it's like that peace or love question. It's like, let's let go of fear and step into love and see the world that we create from that place.
Yes. Now, we've talked about Beyonce. I'm telling you, the Spirit is leading this whole conversation. The three of your favorite songs, what do you have?
Oh, no. I am a music head. Like, all of these, like, three of your favorite, it's just like, it's impossible. So I'm just going to let me see what I've been listening to lately. So Beyonce, I can literally choose three top favorite Beyonce songs. But what's going on, I feel like that was a song that speaks to what's happening today.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that song.
Marvin Gaye or Donny Hathaway?
Marvin Gaye.
I like both. But yeah, Marvin's definitely Gaye. the signature of that one.
Yes. And because we're on this path, This Is America by Childish Gambino. Like, I love that song. And then Freedom by Beyonce, because there's a theme. So there we go.
There it is. I see where you're going with this. No, those are three. I'm a music head in general, and I'm with you. I'm everything from doo-wop to like big band with Glenn Miller. Like everything, you know what I'm saying? Hip hop for sure. 80s hip hop, yeah. 90s for sure. That's high, that's middle school, high school stuff, and roughly everything. Like pop, I was big on the pop. When pop hit, like in '98, very strong with like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees. Mm-hmm. I wasn't acting like I didn't listen to this shit in school. I'm listening. This is what I listen to, right here, and that's just what it's gonna be. Spice Girls, big Spice Girls fan. Of singles, I didn't listen to albums. I listened to singles, like as far as that goes. But I was still a fan of of their music. So, what's your favorite type of cuisine?
Okay, I go in, everything is like a theme. I get obsessed with a certain plate, like Indian food. I was on Indian for like 3 months. So, right now, I love me some Mexican food. But I mean, I really love the spices of like some Nigerian, Indian food. So let's just go with I love Indian cuisine.
I don't think I've ever had Indian cuisine. I feel like I'm probably missing out on a lot of things that's going to change my life when I do get to it.
So good. Yeah. So many spices. They don't skimp on the spices.
So
I love that.
I'm sold. I'm probably a lot of turmeric then. Let's see. If you could spend the day with anyone in the world, who would it be?
Yeah, it would be my little brother.
So I'll take that. That's an easy one for you, right?
Absolutely.
And of course, the last question of this before I hand it over to you for your 3 questions that you have for me. Where can we follow you?
I am on Instagram at I am Shaunna, SHAUNNA_Williams. And then I'm also on Facebook at The Mystical Minister. You can find me on there. And you can also find me on my website at www.mysticalminister.com.
All right. Well, that concludes my part in this interview. Now it's time for you to finish us off with 3 questions. You ask anything, doesn't matter how personal, doesn't matter how business related, whatever. Just 3 questions that you have for the host of the show, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay. Number 1 is, what is your greatest regret in life?
I don't have any. No regrets.
Okay.
I don't tell you why, and it comes from hip hop. Jay-Z has a song on Reasonable Doubt called Regrets. Coincidentally, it's called Regrets, and basically it's talking about, in order to survive, got to learn to live with regrets. So basically, he's saying don't have any. Just press on with life and everything. Understand that everything is a part of your story. No matter if it's confusing to you at the time, you'll understand why you went through everything eventually. And I've always kept that mindset. So, but that's a great question, though.
No, I absolutely get your response, and I stand in a similar, so I'm going to ask that question in a different way to where you can't answer it. Okay?
Yeah.
So knowing what you know today, what is something that you would do differently? Knowing what you know today, what is something you would do differently?
You got me stuck there. I have to answer that one. No, what I would do, I would have had self-love at an early age, honestly, and that would have changed everything. That's how big self-love is for me right now in my life, because as a child, I've dealt, and again, my parents may have not realized it, but there's a lot of some symptoms of child neglect that I somewhat deal with to this day. You don't realize the impact that it's had, but it's a part of it. Like a lot of things that I wish I spent more time with my parents doing things. But I got everything that I wanted. I want that to be clear. My parents loved me in a different way. They, as in giving me stuff that they didn't have when they were kids themselves, like material wise. But as far as physical affection and emotion, learning how to deal with emotions, that is one gift that I wish for every kid to have. You know what I'm saying? To understand how to deal with these feelings and know it's all right to express how you feel and know how you feel, because you can get out here and not know yourself and put up with shit just from anybody because you don't know yourself. You know what I'm saying? So you really don't understand how toxic that can be, or how toxic it can, or where it can take you mentally. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's one thing I would do differently to totally answer the question. Self-love is something I would have taught I would have wished I'd been taught how to and know that know my worth. Really, ultimately know my worth, and self-love is the one thing that I would change, and that would have changed a lot of things that I've gone through and learned now to this day and of recent. I wouldn't be in those situations. Are we counting that as number 1, or is that number 2?
That's number 1.
Oh,
that's
wow.
number 1.
It's getting real.
Welcome to the Shaunna-Mak show. Okay?
I see that taking over. Shaunna-Mak, y'all feel this right here? Collabo. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, number 2. Who is Romey-Mak? I'm going to steal your question because that's a really great question.
It is a great question. Romey-Mak is a mild-mannered reporter, by day, and I'm crime fighting by night. No, I am. I'm a 33-year-old father. That's number 1. I'm a father of a 15-year-old daughter. I love very much. I love you, Pumpkin. I am I'm an opportunist, really. I'm gonna say a young entrepreneur, still growing with this, trying to build this 2 cents brand. And I'm a big brother. I'm a number 1 son, and since I was born first, not just any ranking. I'm a best friend. I'm a hard worker. A hustler for sure. I find a way to make money, make do, and just go after a go-getter, really, and a lover. I'm definitely as of late, like within the last 5-6 years, really expressing myself, and I never want anybody to feel alone in something. and a part of me was like, I cared a little. I think I cared too much, and I didn't recognize that folks weren't matching my energy with stuff. So that's where I had to take a pause, and like, I'm trying to be there for everybody else, but I'm not being there for me. And that's where that, again, self-love comes into play. So I'm just an individual who I love very hard. If I have love for you, I'm down for you, and I have your back through it all. And if I don't care for you, fuck you. That's pretty much the short end of the stick.
There's no big shot on the people now.
Yeah, exactly. There's no in between with that. I don't have any gray areas. I'm not on the fence about that. Either I care for you or I don't, and I just have to let you go. And I have a lot of patience. So again, if I'm at the point where it's forget you, then you've done something. There's something you've done. You've shown me that you're not really for me, and I have to let you go. I would say I'm just one of those. I'm one of those people that wish you knew in this life, because I'm going to be honest as I can with you. I would say that being very genuine about things. You ask a question, whether you like the answer or not, I'm going to tell it to you. So, and that's another thing that scares me about myself, is like, some people are not ready for their illusions to be destroyed, when you tell them the truth about things. But I mean, it's good to have people like this and around, for you ask a question, and then you tell them the truth. But I'm just somebody who really wants to see I want to grow with others, like yourself, you know what I mean? Like all of us go, become, be in network with each other and become friends, and we can all grow and become successful together. I don't, as long as you want to work, I'm not gonna let you be an anchor, and it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna hold me down. We're gonna fly together. That's it.
Okay. So I love that, and thank you for that information. I mean, I'm getting from my takeaways is that you're loyal, committed, loving, and all about unity. And if people cross you once, shame on them. They can't cross you again because you're just like, fuck you, basically. Is that correct?
It takes a while. There's a couple times. I mean, if my love, it depends on how much I love you. Like, if I truly love you and I can see the goodness in you, and you are really, really taking me through the ringer, I might put up with a little more than I probably should have. But best believe that once it's done, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So that actually brings me to my last and final question for you, Romey. What are the qualities of your ideal woman? What are they?
Qualities of the ideal woman for me. Let's see. Patient. Assertive. She's the back, when I see women as the backbone of this earth, so she's got to keep me in line. You got to keep my back straight up, she has to see the best in me when I don't see it. Loyalty would be great. But no one is perfect. From experience in this life, but that's ideal. The ideal quality. You want somebody that is a loyal, faithful. I would love for her to be beautiful. That'd be great. I mean, looks will fade, but something has to catch your eye. You know what I'm saying? Hardworking, not lazy. She can have lazy days, but she's not a lazy person. She keeps a clean home. It's definitely someone that you can raise a family with. Someone that's willing to hold down the home, hold me down, understand that I have her back no matter what. I need my best friend, really. The qualities of my woman, she would have to be my best friend. Not in the sense of one of your girls or nothing like that, but I just somebody that's I can confide in, and we got each other's backs, and if there's anything that we go through it together, and we'll find some way to talk through it. Now, that's saying a lot for me, coming from a person who doesn't really know how to talk through conflict and stuff like that, especially when it gets really, really heated. I don't know how to deal with that. That's what self-love is kind of teaching me. I have to learn how to deal with conflict. But those are, the qualities that I would, that I'm looking for, that I would look for in in a woman that would be for me.
All right, ladies, there you have it. So if you fit those qualities, just slide right into the DM or send him an email. Thank you so much, Romey. It's been great interviewing you and being on your show.
Thank
for
you.
real.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I had that great interview I just had right there, catching me off guard, but kept it all the way funky. I appreciate that. We'll have to have you come on again, and maybe on another one of my podcasts to talk music, because we could do that all day.
Yes.
I promise you, we can do that all day. But yes, Shaunna Williams is just, if you haven't, by now you should know that she's just an amazing spirit to know, to have, to speak to. And I'm very grateful that, I was able to have her on the show today. Shaunna, like I said, thank you so much for being on here. I had so much fun laughing, and just be even kicking it on like the mental health tip, and just how people can grow, and hopefully people that that listen to this show are able to take from this and add it to their own lives, so that they can heal and move in the right direction, and know that we only want the best for them, and to be happy within themselves and not look for happiness outside of anybody else but themselves. And again, like you said, either they're adding or they're just not a part of it. That's what you mentioned earlier. So we'll just keep it like that. But for everybody listening in, this for Shaunna Williams and Romey-Mak. This is Interview with Rome.